All right, let's take a look at where we left off. I'm going to go ahead and press play. And you can see we have some movement. It would be kind of cool if the camera could follow our player around. So let's go ahead and stop this. And let's see. Maybe we should set up our own camera rig or our own scene. Ordinarily, on a bigger game, you'd build an entire camera rig and its own scene. But I think in here what we'll do is we'll just add it to our player. So I'm going to right click here. I'm going to add a child node and I'm just going to type in camera. And we don't want a 3D camera because we're creating a 2D game. So we're just going to add a camera 2D here. All right, and you can see here a couple things. One, this is the shape of our camera. And it makes sure that, and by default it is on, like it says ignore rotation and it's enabled. So if we go ahead and press play here, and I'm moving around, you can see my camera is tracking. So it's pretty easy. And maybe we'd want to set up some collision around some of these objects. So you can see we've got these burglars. We can kind of push them, kind of come up here, try to stop this burglar. You know, and then so when we get to set up our paddy wagon, we'll have a you know, just kind of a fun way to do that. And I think I have my police car here, and I'd probably have to you know, go in and modify that in Photopea later. All right, so let's also take a look at when I press play here, we're still kind of zoomed in, right? So if I go to my remote setting here and I expand this, you can see there's my enemy container, here's my player, and if I select my camera 2D here and kind of manipulate this, I can hit 2 here and it zooms in. And if I do 0.5, I zoom out. So now I can be like, oh, okay, that looks pretty cool. And this is just sort of adjusting it on the fly. And this might be a little bit too far, so let's say 0.7. And I like that. But when I hit stop and I press play again, you can see that it didn't remember those settings. It's just testing it. So inside of here, you have to go back in and then, you know, set it to 0.7, and then you can press play. And now we have a little bit different of a zoom here. So let's go ahead and stop this. And I think it's F8 to stop it is the shortcut. And I think F5 is to start it up again. All right, so let's take a look at some of this other stuff. There's a limit, and this is how far out it can go. And then there's position smoothing. What's nice about this is, let's say it has a speed of 5 pixels. There's going to be a little delay as it follows the character around. So let me show you that. So as I move to the right and I stop, you can see the camera is still moving to catch up with the player. See, it's got a little bit of a delay. So that's kind of like the position smoothing. You could also do a rotation smoothing, but we have our rotation sort of ignored at this moment. So it just adds an extra desired effect if that's what you like. All right, now let's go into our enemy for a moment. And what I'd like to do is, let's see, is add a physics material to this. So if I click on this and I just select physics material, you can see there's a gravity scale, there's a mass distribution. And what's kind of cool is, let's see, kind of look at some of these other settings, is if we click on the actual physics material itself, you can see we can open this up. Now friction is essentially, if we highlight over the word here, it'll tell you the body's friction, it ranges from 0 to 1. So friction is like how slow, or maximum friction is friction. So frictionless is 0. So if we take this all the way down to 0, and I go ahead and press play, and I bump into one of these guys, you can see there's not much friction, right? But if I move this all the way up, and let's do like 20 here to really kind of show you, and I press play here, and I go to hit this guy, you can see it's like hitting a log, right? So I'm going to undo that. Now there's bounce, so if we make this like 0.5 and I press play, you can see that they're going to be really bouncy as I bump into him. See how he goes flying? And we want to kind of be careful of that because I want to sort of push them into my cop car. And I do want the game to be a little bit tougher, you know, on the player, but I don't want it to be so hard that they get bored and they want to quit. So I think 0.5 bounciness is pretty good. And we'll just make sure to hit Control S to save. All right, let's address one other thing that we were talking about before, which is right now we don't necessarily have like a confined play area, right? Like I don't want them to be able to go out past these buildings. So let's stop this and let's go back to level 01 here. And what I'd like to do is make some bounds that are around this area and just kind of contain it to the park. So maybe we'll just stop at this street. So the way I'll do that is I'll right click here and I'll add a child node and I'll add a static body 2D here. And let's kind of move this a little bit over to the side here. All right, so let's move this just in front of our city background, but below the enemy container and the player one. And then what I want to do here is I want to add a child node to that, and that's going to be our collision polygon 2D. And what's cool about this is this allows you to sort of manipulate the shape of it like you're making a polygon object, and that'll help us kind of really constrain where the street is. Let me show you. And actually, what might be cool to do is let's create a here. Let me hit escape for a second. And I'm just going to select this enemy here and just move them down. Let's stop them from going into the well here. So let's go up here and select our collision polygon 2D. Click this first one where we're going to create a point. And I'm just going to, let's see, create points. Oh, it looks like if I accidentally set it to move, it's got to be in selection mode. So go ahead and click here, and then, yeah, there we go. Now we should be able to create a little collision area to block that out. And let's go ahead and move this guy back down. And then if we go back this way, we can create other collision areas by selecting our polygon 2D here. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Click on this guy here, and let's just block off this street. Actually, what we can do, let's see, we'll go something like this. I'll close that side. Close that one. Oh, actually, we might need to create a couple different. We'll leave this one, and we'll just call this pond. All right, so I'm just going to select this, hit Control D to duplicate it, and I'll name this walls. There we go. And we'll go ahead and with our walls here, I'm going to grab this and just select these points and just kind of move them down. Actually, let's just I guess we could just delete this. We'll just make a new one. So let's do a static body 2D, and then let's add a collision polygon 2D, and we'll name this one walls. Let's put this right behind the pond, and then let's select this, and with this guy here, do something like that. And then we can grab this guy and just move these closer to each other. Oops. And let's test this out. So I'm going to save that. Let's select our move tool. Let's press play. Let's see if I bump this guy all the way over here. He stops. Let's try to push him into the water over here. So I can't go in there, and maybe you can create something around that fountain. All right, let's save our level. I think we're pretty good for now. I mean, we've learned a little bit about cameras. We learned about this new collision setup, and yeah, that's it.